Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Friday, November 1st. Happy Friday, happy November, happy football weather as the temperature has dropped here in western Pennsylvania about 25 degrees since the last time I recorded a podcast episode. I got the long sleeves on here. It's fall. It feels like fall now. It feels like football weather. Thanks for, you know, digging in with me here during the Steelers bye week, and we'll of course have another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive with myself and Smitty later on this afternoon. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications on the YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. I asked for topic questions yesterday, and you guys just came through in a huge way. I have so many. I'm trying to pick and choose the best of them here, and I actually am going to sort of combine two of them because I think these are questions that kind of go hand in hand when it comes to the Steelers pursuing players. I think mostly wide receivers. I haven't heard of them pursuing anyone else in the trade market. And the two questions are from Aaron Talanoa. If the Giants lose Darius Slayton to free agency in the offseason, do they get a comp pick in the draft? Do comp picks affect trade prices? And the answer to both of those questions is absolutely yes. So, well, the first one is kind of comp picks are not like in a one-to-one thing. So when you lose a free agent, it basically goes into this little pool of players where you add up the players lost and then you subtract the players added. So if the Giants lose Darius Slayton, and they don't sign it, and Darius Slayton signs a big free agent contract. Like he's one of the highest paid receivers. I'm not saying he will be, just use this as a for instance. And the Giants don't lose any other free agents, and they don't sign any free agents, then they would get up to a third round pick for Darius Slayton. But if the Giants lose Darius Slayton to free agency, and then they sign Mike Williams, even if they sign Mike Williams to a far to a far lower contract than what Slayton got for, those two players are going to cancel each other out. So to get a comp pick, you basically have to lose at least one more free agent over a certain threshold of salary that you add, and then they're ranked by where that player lands in the spectrum. So the top few get third round picks, and then fourth round picks, and then fifth round picks, so on and so forth. If you are really interested in the process, overthecap.com does absolutely the best job of calculating and tracking who's getting what in terms of comp picks. And of course, that process plays out in March as free agency is happening for this year. But those comp picks don't come until the following year. So the Giants would get a 2026 comp pick if they lose Darius Slayton in that scenario that we talked about this year. Yeah, absolutely. Teams consider if they're likely to get a comp pick or what kind of comp pick they're going to get when they're deciding whether or not they want to trade a player. Everybody says, oh, well, you got to trade him because you'll lose him for nothing. And that's not really true. You can get a lot for a player as a comp pick if you think you're going to be in line to get comp picks the following year. There's also the benefit for a team of the Steelers don't negotiate in season, but every other team starting right now until the second week of March, they would have exclusive negotiating window with that player for the following season. So if it's a player that you might want to re-sign, hugely advantageous for you to keep that player and start working on a new contract, as has been reported with the Giants at Slayton, that they would like to keep him around. They want to sign him to a contract extension. The last part of it is understanding that draft picks, the more you lose, the better draft picks you get. Teams don't want to lose on purpose. A lot of teams, other than the Pittsburgh Steelers, are still trying very hard to sell tickets, whether or not they are in it or out of it, and they don't want to trade away players for very minimal returns. Now, if you were talking about like the deal that the Raiders got for Devontae Adams, they got a franchise-changing pick for Devontae Adams, a third that can become a second in certain scenarios. That's a big deal. If you're talking about trading someone for a sixth or seventh round pick, it's for a lot of teams, it's not worth it. They would rather just go into the process that I just talked about and get a comp pick and have that player around to help them sell some more tickets. To, if you're the New York Jets, mollify their veteran quarterback who doesn't want to spend the whole rest of his season throwing to rookies. If you're the Tennessee Titans, so that you can continue to do a good job of evaluating your young quarterback. If, there's lots of reasons for teams that aren't going anywhere to want to keep players. And that is one of the big reasons why in-season trades are very rare in the NFL. That the other part of this is, if you're an owner that is cheap, you don't want to now. I mean, Woody Johnson has no problem financially, but the Jets have to pay almost all of Mike Williams' salary if they trade him, because of the way his contract is structured. Lots of teams don't want to do that. They don't want to pay $8.5 million for a guy to play on some other team when they feel like they could use him, even if it's not going to help their team make the playoffs or anything like that. They feel like they could use him. There are lots of teams out there, if they are coming off a struggling season and they feel like they have some pieces for the future, like Carolina, for example. Carolina looks like they're playing Bryce Young right now. They traded away Deontay Johnson. They have Adam Thielen there. But if you're Carolina, do you want another first overall pick? Wouldn't even getting to 7 and 10 be some signs of progress that people should care about their team? Come buy some tickets, show up. There's a not every NFL team has the fan base of the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they're gonna sell every ticket no matter what, and people are gonna show up and care no matter what. That is not the case everywhere. And so there are a lot of factors at play here, and certainly the comp picks are one of them. And I do think that if you're talking about only offering a late round pick swap or a 6th or 7th, that is something that you have to take into consideration, that a team might look at the way their free agency is setting up for next year and said, hey, we might get 2 or 3 comp picks next year. Let's hold on to this guy. He's going to add to the formula for us. Yeah, that absolutely makes a lot of sense. Had another question about the Steelers draft capital for next year. Randy Tobias, longtime member of the audience here. Randy, really appreciate you. Alan, where do we currently sit with draft capital for the next couple of years? So in 2025, the Steelers have their 1st round pick, their 2nd round pick, their 3rd round pick, and their 4th round pick. Their 4th round pick or their 6th round pick, and actually it isn't theirs, it's the Houston Texans, but they have a 4th and a 6th. One of those will be going to the Chicago Bears for Justin Fields. As of right now, it would be Fields because he has played more than 51% of the snaps, but I think we can see what's happened to the quarterback position. I'm sorry, it would be the 4th, but I think we've seen what's happened to the quarterback position. Doesn't seem likely that Fields is going to get to that point, so probably going to end up being the 6th. So the Steelers will likely have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all theirs. They also have their 5th and the Los Angeles Rams 5th from the Kevin Dotson trade. Assuming that 6th goes to Chicago for Fields, they will not have a 6th, and then they will have 3 7th-round picks, their own, and 2 from the Eagles for Kenny Pickett. So that's what they've got. It is a draft board where they should be very comfortable parting with draft picks in exchange for a wide receiver this year. There are times when you don't want to short yourself draft picks, especially when you've already shorted yourself a couple. GMs do not want to go into a draft with 4 picks or 5 picks. They just don't want to do that. And when you look at this board and you look at, the Steelers aren't losing very much in free agency at the end of this year. And what they do have currently coming off the books is not particularly expensive. So it could be it's hard to see this many draft picks making the team. So I think, they should absolutely feel comfortable trading away from this future draft capital to make a wide receiver move here today. That's all I got for now. We'll be back with more with Smitty. We're going to wrap up our position by position mid-season review / preview and give our updated Steelers 2024 predictions. Leave them in the comments here if you haven't yet. We've been doing that over the last 2 days, collected them. We'll be reading a number of those this afternoon. Until then, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.